SOPs. We are now buying new equipment, filters for the water, test kits for the food, modern equipment to heat the water, to heat the trays that are being broken.
Yeah.
We're putting it, trying to increase all the oversight.
Now, with these meals, walk us through what it's already doing to the farming community.
Yes, what we find out, you see, because now we send the money straight to the kitchen. We don't go through all these, layers of bureaucracy. We straight, and we have trained, before the whole program, we have trained 32,000 managers. These are all graduates from university, 32,000. We trained them 3 months, and then they're deployed into the villages. And then we have a partnership with local foundations, local groups, and local entrepreneurs. So this is a government-private, let us say, partnership, because the foundations, the local groups, some entrepreneurs, they are the ones who build the kitchens and run the kitchens according to our specifications and our SOPs. So one kitchen is designed to provide food to between 3,000 to 3,500, 3,800 children and pregnant mothers. So what happens is, one kitchen will need 3,000 eggs every 2 days or every 3 days. We'll need 3,000 cucumbers, 3,000 carrots, 3,000 tomatoes, 3,000 pieces of chicken, and etc. So what happens is, the local farmers find out, oh, we have a guaranteed offtake for our products. And so they're growing new stuff. We hear a lot of stories, a lot of testimonies. They're building fish ponds, and those in the coastal areas, they increase their fish production. So it's very exciting what I could report. And this is from the Rockefeller Institute. I got a visit from a delegation of the Rockefeller Institute, led by Mr. Roy, I think it's Roy Coben. And they said to me, in their experience, going through many countries in the world with the same program, they said that every $1 spent in the free meal program, the return on the $1 is between $5 to $37. So this is massive. It really encourages me, because my purpose is to overcome the hunger of the children. That is my first purpose. But in the sense that we put in so much resources to this, and the poor areas, Asia, even the urban areas, even Jakarta had undernourished. So, and this, I think, is providing a big boost to the economy, in my opinion. And that's the feedback I get.
And you've done programs to increase agricultural output, but also with the 17,000 islands, you also now amazingly have a program to move fishing with the refrigerators and the like. Walk us how.
Yes, I think Indonesia is basically, we are actually very blessed and very fortunate that 3/4 of Chile is actually sea. But the the sad thing is, we have not really exploited well this blessing. So basically, in the 80 years history, there's been no real effective program to empower our fishing communities, basically. And this is what we're trying to do. My Minister of Fisheries, he started a pilot project. One model, we make as a model of this. We call this project the Fishing Village Project. That's a Nelayan. So a village consisting of 2,000 fish. We will reorganize, give facilities. For instance, many of these villages do not have a simple jetty. So we build a jetty for them. They don't even have ice. So we provide financing so that they can build a small ice producing facility. So every day they go to the sea, they will have ice blocks. And so when they catch the fish will be relatively fresh coming back. So it's simple things like that. Cold storage, when the produce can be stored, and then electricity, solar panels. So all these things, clean clinics for them, good schools for their children. And we find out their testimony after 1.5 years, 2 years, their earning increased up to 100%, which is amazing. You know, I myself was very surprised. I thought maybe 40%, 50%, 100% increase. But for basic things like ice, and then of course facilities for auctioning the fish. So now all the people who need fish, they know, oh, in that village I can get fresh fish. And if I come early for the auction, I'll get the best. So prices increase, earnings increase. So what we're planning to do is we're planning to replicate that this year, 2026. This year we already start building 65 already. 65 already. And the target will be end of 2026. We are going to build at least 1,000 of these villages all over Indonesia. 1,000. That means it will empower 2 million fishermen. 2 million fishermen with their wife and maybe 2 kids. That's 8 million Indonesians. We hope immediately, after 1 year, their earnings will increase by 100%. And this is our goal, our dream. And I'm very bullish. I'm very optimistic. So we will now get fresh increase of protein from the fishing villages. We will send it to our cooperatives because I'm also building. We have already established.
Simpan dulu Abah ketiga nomor ini di HP Abah supaya komunikasinya lancar. Jadi bikin Abah Daniel 1, Abah Daniel 2 disimpan di kontak sehingga komunikasi kita lancar. Itu sudah saya bikin dan saya sudah bikin kembali dan itu akan bagus nanti. Tetapi simpan dulu ketiga nomor ini. Sudah disimpan. Meskipun HP-nya 2, nomornya 3, tapi di situ tetap 1, makanya pakai tandem terus.
So all the produce will be sent to the market, and there will be no more stories of sir, our harvest is rotting, nobody's coming, Yeah, so I think this is going to be an exciting time for Indonesia. I'm excited, and because I'm seeing this dream, this concept turning into reality as we sit here today.
And one of the things you've done was to wipe out old debts for a lot of small farmers and businesses that were around for years and
Yes,
years.
yes, exactly.
Going to be paid, so just wipe it out and let them have a fresh start.
I think at that time when I came in, even before I came in, in my campaign, a lot of these representatives from the farmers and from the small business came to me and, sir, we can't get any new loans because our debt of 25 years ago is still in the books of the banks. So I called some of the bankers, we discussed, and basically I understood that actually in the banks, right, after 25 years, most of these banks have been written off already in the books of the banks. So of course there are the conservative bankers who said, no sir, we cannot, what example will give for the other lenders, borrowers, right? So I said, these people in 25 years, they cannot pay back because of bad weather, because of natural disaster, etc., etc. No way can they pay back. So to be realistic, I said there is such a thing as forgiveness. What's that? We forgive the debt.
Now, one of the things in what they call a macroeconomic sense you're doing is free trade agreements. And you have an agreement with the EU, European Union, to promote trade. Can you walk us through that?
Yes, I think this is one of the achievements of my team, my club team, led by Mr. Tarto. He's been working very hard with his team, and we succeeded in getting the agreement through the CIPA, right? The Indonesian European Union Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, CIPA. And I think this is a breakthrough because it came right when the American government started their tariff campaign. Can we say campaign?
It's a polite way to put it.
Right?
So I'm an American. I have pungent words.
So
I have to be diplomatic.
So I think we need to, for us, it was a wake-up call, right? If I were an American, I understand the point of view of the Trump administration. I think, America cannot be, right? The whole world considers America to be a nice market, and then on the other way around, they don't also open their market to American goods. So there will always be, it's the duty of every leader to try to protect their people. But if you go in a tariff war, where will it stop, right? But for us, it's a wake-up call. So now I tell my guys, my team, and I will talk to the business people. We must be more efficient. We must be more daring. We must be more, not always rely on an easy market. Oh, United States. I think this is opening up, but yes, and then that's why now we have a CIPA with the EU. We also witnessed the signing of CIPA with Canada, and I think we're more and more trying to get this type of agreements with most markets, also with Latin America, with I think with RCEP and CPA, TPP, etc. So we also are joining OECD. We requested to join. We've joined BRICS. So we believe that we should, in all the markets that we can. But basically, more important is actually the Indonesian market. We have nearly 300 million people. So we must actually boost our capacity, our buying power. That's why I want to really empower the poor of Indonesia. That will create domestic consumption.
When you campaigned, you gave your desire to increase the growth rate from 5% a year to 8% a year. What other steps are you taking? What industries do you see coming in the future to Indonesia? And what would you say to Americans and others about why they should invest in Indonesia today so you can get that 8% growth rate?
I think 8% is very achievable. It's very achievable. As I mentioned to you, for instance, even with this free meal program, we are creating directly 1.5 million jobs. Directly. And each, there's 30,000 kitchens times 50 people working in the kitchen. 2 or 3 shifts, 50 people times 30,000. That's 1.5 million. So the economic experts tell me that 1% growth will create 400,000 jobs. Well, we created already 1.5 million jobs. That's 3%. And that's not even with the 81,000 cooperatives. There, we calculate will also create at least another 15 jobs. But the beauty of the whole thing is that each kitchen has created 15 local entrepreneurs. One selling their eggs, the other one selling vegetables, the other one selling fish, this one selling meat, the other one so. And each of these 15 vendors or suppliers will have at least 5, 10, or 15 workers.
So foreign investors will be witnessing a growing economy which attracts capital.
I think so. Growing economy, and if these people have money, what do? They will buy shoes, clothes, they want to improve their housing, they want each to buy maybe motorcycle, television. So I think this is the way. I mean, of course, the big guys will want to go to the big things, right? For instance, we have a lot of minerals, a lot of critical minerals. We are number 1, I think, in nickel, maybe number 4 or 5 in bauxite. We are in critical minerals. We are in amines. So I think there's a lot of space for new investment. We need more exploration for oil and gas. We need more drilling. We find out that we have, I think, 30,000, 40,000 oil wells that with new technology we can increase our yield. So I think there's a lot of room for investment, and I think Indonesia must be something that will attract a lot of interest to come in, because I think not many economies, I think, in the present world enjoy. Even now we are growing at 5% a year. I mean, many other countries are not even growing at all. 1%, 2%, even. I just came from Sharm el-Sheikh. I meet all the leaders, and we were exchanging notes, and many countries are struggling with energy and all that. And I think we are blessed with so many resources. But of course, I'm not satisfied. We have to manage better our resources.
One of the couple of things you're doing, one is improving tax collection, and the other is you may be looking at tax cuts to help stimulate the economy. And another thing you're doing is you've created a second sovereign wealth fund, Antara, which has under assets starting off $1 trillion. And it not only includes your banks, but it includes Pertamina, but also, amazingly, you had 1,000 state-owned businesses that now you're going to rationalize, reduce, because together they're only returning 1% on assets. So if you rationalize these things, free up capital for better use, that alone will give a boost to the economy.
I think so. So I've given direction to the chairman of the Antara to rationalize everything, cut down from the 1,000 state-owned enterprise maybe to more rational figure, maybe 200 or 230, 240, and then run them with additional standards, right? So I am convinced that that 1 or 2% return can increase, must increase. I think, and I told the Mendalam management to run it on an international business standards. You can look for the best brains, best talents, and I've changed the regulations. Now, expatriates, non-Indonesians can be leading our SOEs. So I'm very excited, but because sometimes I don't know, there is some sort of disconnect sometimes between the economic players and the political players, the political leaders. Many political leaders, I think, do not want to do their homework. Many political leaders maybe are afraid of figures or afraid of business. So I think it now behooves all the younger leaders of Indonesia who want to be political leaders. You must understand business and economics. I think I heard somewhere, was it under Clinton's campaign somewhere, that he put in his campaign room
it's the economy.
It's the economy, stupid. I don't know how to translate it into Indonesian, but it's the economy, stupid. If you don't understand the economy, you can be fooled by the economists, right? So you must never be intimidated by the so-called experts. I'm talking to my younger guys.
One of the things you've been very open about is battling corruption. When you were defense minister, you made it a point that any relative, if the name was came in for a contract, they would not get the contract. Relate the story first of a company that came in that made you an offer. They thought you couldn't refuse, but you did. And then walk us through quickly the things you are doing now to combat corruption, not just prosecutions, but making sure you have the personnel properly salaried so there's no excuse for payoffs. First, relate the story about what happened to a particular defense company or a potential provider to get a contract. It was rather brazen.
Yeah. I mean, corruption is very difficult. Corruption, in my opinion, is a disease. Once it reaches stadium 4, like cancer, it's very difficult. But corruption, in my reading of history, corruption will destroy countries, nations, and regimes. So, yeah, I am determined to try to cut down corruption, and sometimes the only thing is you must give the example, right? So yes, when I became Minister of Defense, the first night I became Minister of Defense, I remember I called in all my relatives, my nephews. I don't know if my brother was in the room, but I said, listen, I'm the Minister of Defense. Yeah, you guys cannot go into the Minister of Defense for any defense contract, right? Understand that? So that's what I try to do. But of course, after 2-3 months, business people are very creative, right? Especially Indonesian business people. So they would find ways and means, and one day I found one of my nephew coming to me, right, with a project, I said, come on, you've never been in defense, you don't understand defense, okay? So no, you will look for other business. So one time, we had a defense project conference in the Ministry of Defense. So my head of logistics reported to me, sir, we have this 250 projects. And let me report to you, project in one. Three companies in the top list. Company A, Company B, Company C. Oh, by the way, sir, I want to report in Company C, there's one of your nephews. Write him off. Go down the list. Oh, by the way, sir, in this project, there's your other nephews. Write him off. I wrote off all my family. And so I need to comment. Maybe I reported the names. And then they might have passed. So I had difficulty meeting my nephews for 3 or 4 months after that. But yeah, you have to give example. It's not easy, but you have to do it. And then now, the problem with Indonesia, I think, is this. If we can get this done well, I think very fast we will be the surprise of the world. For instance, I came into 2 islands of Indonesia, Babincang and Belitung, and we got report there were 1,000 illegal tin mines. 1,000 on these 2 islands. And we were losing maybe 80% of our total tin production to these illegal miners and through smuggling. And I said this is to stop. I made a military training program with naval ships, airplanes, helicopters, drones, and we just blocked these 2 islands. No vessel can come in and out without us knowing what's inside. And basically we stopped the smuggling. One sampan tried to go out, we found out there tin on the sampans. Can you imagine? So, and then we confiscated several cases of tin ingots, rare earth, etc., etc. We calculated that we saved our country about a couple of $1 billion. So next year, the increase of tin production, we hope, will come back to its original position, and we should be earning maybe at least least 3 or 4 times what we were earning last year. So this is just one example of what we recovered. We also, of course, I took over from the previous government, handed me over the problem of about, I was reported coming to us, sir, out of the millions of hectares of palm oil, about 5,000 are in violation of the law. What? Yes. Oh, no, so not 5,000, 5 million. 5 million hectares are in violation of the law. So I said, I am sworn in to uphold the law. So I told my Attorney General, my state autonomous or state auditing board, carry out investigations. What you find out is there's a case, terminate their concessions. And that's what we did. I think by as of this month, we have recovered about 3.7 million hectares of plantations that violated the law. One plantation, 2 plantations, one was 50,000, the other 50,000, violated the. There was a Supreme Court decision to confiscate those 2 estates, those plantations. 18 years ago, Supreme Court of Indonesia decision, not carried out for 18 years. The Attorney General came to me and said, what, Supreme Court? In class, so no more ways to appeal. So I said, carry out, execute. Sir, this and that, what? You guys afraid? I ordered my armed forces to accompany this Attorney General's office, accompany the state auditors, protect them, go in there and confiscate 100,000 we take over, and no problem. So I think this is the case is the government now must enforce the law, and I'm determined to enforce the law, and I'm determined that the Indonesian government must be respected by everybody. The law is the law, regulations are regulations. Those who violate the law will have to deal with the law. So that's as simple as that. What I mean is we are recovering a lot of assets. By efficiency.
Taking, whether it's on the village level, enforcing the law,
Yes.
fighting corruption, dealing with the tax code. There have been a lot of protests, as you know, in your country and in other countries. People worried about the rise of the cost of living, inequality, but you seem to have embarked on a path where you're going to have a vibrant economy, but you're going to make sure, as the phrase goes, not only is no one going to be left behind, but they're going to be very much part of a moving forward, whether it's in a village or in Jakarta. And before we let you go, though, one other thing, since we have you here, we'll get to the question. You were recently in Egypt, invited by President Trump to witness the historic agreement. Can you share with us, before you go, observations about what you saw and what you think may be unfolding, which also underscores Indonesia's traditional foreign policy of trying to stay out of the elephants who get in fights with each other, the great powers, that you will focus on growth rather than international disputes. But give us some quick observations about what you saw in Egypt. By the way, the president went to Egypt midnight on Sunday night. What was it? A few hours later, he came back. Amazing. Give us some observations about what you saw.
Yes, it was very interesting. I think there was a sense that we are at a historic opportunity. A ceasefire. Aid is coming in. Hostages have been released. Some still, I think some dead bodies have been recovered. So, yes, there is, I would say, still hope that we can get this through. And Indonesia is still willing to be part of that. If they need peacekeeping troops, they said we are willing to provide peacekeeping troops. And so I'm optimistic. I hope that this can go through.
In your speech in the UN, you gave a very courageous speech about if Israel would recognize Palestine, the country should recognize Israel, even if they're Muslim. And size you for that, but that exemplifies, though, the kind of forward leadership that the world needs. And so we've run out of time, unfortunately, but I think people, there's issues like ice for fishermen or trying to bring peace to a troubled region. Indonesia has a very strong leader, thank goodness. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you for
Thank you, President Prabowo and Steve. I'd like to ask both of you to just kindly stay seated for a minute, just while I give brief closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great way to end this year's Forbes Global CEO Conference. We'd like to thank all our speakers, guests, and sponsors for their support and for making this annual gathering possible. You've been such a wonderful audience. We look forward to see you at the next conference. Now take his leave. Thank you.
Ya, saudara-saudara, sungguh mulia bagaimana Jenderal TNI Prabowo Subianto memberikan presentasi di Forbes yang sungguh amat luar biasa, dan ini menjadi semacam menghubungkan antara masyarakat luas yang sungguh ingin memahami what is the president of Indonesia, sehingga acara ini bisa menjembatani bukan hanya penonton di Indonesia, seluruh dunia akan menjadi sangat terang benderang jelas bagaimana pidato beliau di PBB, bagaimana kemarin dia berperan di dalam damai dunia 2025 yang sangat spektakuler. Oleh karena itu, saudara, sesungguhnya sudah waktunya kita makin berpikir kembali. Apakah benar bahwa sejak kita merdeka tahun 45 terus berkembang, dan pada 5 tahun 61, apa yang terjadi? Pada tahun itu terjadi apa? Ada peraturan pemerintah yang dibuat berdasarkan risalah rapat para menteri, bahwa ada sesuatu yang kita mau lakukan. Apa itu? Kita belum punya lambang negara. Kita belum punya apa simbol daripada keberhasilan kita ini. Saudara, sedemikian rupa langsung saja cepat-cepat. Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. Saudara, ternyata alangkah baiknya sebenarnya bukan hanya mencomot dari satu bagian yang utuh, tapi utuh. Itu sebabnya kami berupaya untuk mewujudkan apa sesungguhnya yang menjadi sesuatu tujuan dan bagaimana mencapai tujuan itu bagi sebuah negara besar yang ditetapkan oleh para founding fathers pada 17 Agustus 1945. Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, Tanhana Dharma Mangrua, Nusantara. Itu nama kami. Karena itu nama ini menjadi sesuatu yang makin mereenergi kembali, energize. Sehingga Indonesia maju, Indonesia goal yang kita harapkan itu akan segera terwujud. Kami dari asosiasi sungguh merindukan suatu ketika ada pemikiran di antara kita, di antara kementerian-kementerian itu. Ada enggak sesuatu, atau sudah ada sebenarnya, ada Badan Mediasi Nasional, ada Badan BNSP, Badan Nasional Sertifikasi Profesi. Jadi semua profesi, semua tingkah laku setiap orang profesional di dalam negara itu, bukankah lebih pas menjadikan cantelannya di atas itu konstitusi kita itu? Konstitusi itu berkata, Indonesia cinta perdamaian abadi. Maka mediator, Kementerian Mediasi Nasional menjadi harapan.